We now have some new leak details in a possible Tyson Bagent trade to the Arizona Cardinals. And today's episode of Geek on the Mic starts right now.
Cali the Chi-Town experience on the flight. Let me go tune in to Geek on the Mic. He gon' make sure we get our news and highlights. When you get on YouTube, you better hit the like.
Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Geek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. First and foremost, happy Thursday to every single one of you guys. We are so close to the start of the weekend. I hope you guys have been enjoying the NFL Combine. I know that my eyes were absolutely glued to the TV because today was the linebackers and defensive linemen and edge rushers, and a lot of those guys had a really good day. One of the guys that really caught my attention was Lee Hunter. Absolutely love his personality as well. I was keeping close tabs on TJ Parker as well, and then David Bailey running a 4.51 40-yard dash. It's absolutely ridiculous. I understand that we're not going to have a chance to get David Bailey, but some of these guys put on some really good performances at the NFL Combine today. So Bears fans, before we go any further with today's episode of Geek on the Mic, we actually have some pretty big news and a big step forward for the state of Illinois in regard to the Chicago Bears Stadium. The state has officially passed HB 910, basically the House Revenue and Finance Committee. So it's just a big step forward. Basically, the next step would basically go to the floor of the state, and that's not going to happen until I believe mid or late March. So until then, it's a step in the right direction for the state, and I know there's a lot of people that want the Bears to stay in Illinois, me included. So I know that the Chicago Bears also released a statement in regard of the HB 910 passing. They said, "We recognize and appreciate the advancement of mega project legislation by the Illinois House Revenue and Finance Committee, and we look forward to continued engagement as the lawmakers determine the legislative path forward." So this is going to be something that's still very fluent. It's still not a done deal that the Bears are going to the state of Indiana. But another big step, the state of Indiana also had a big day regarding trying to get the Chicago Bears to the state. Indiana Governor Mike Braun has signed Senate Bill 27, establishing the Stadium Authority for Northwest Indiana. So this is going to be a very interesting competition over the next couple of weeks and days, all that good stuff. But like I said, I think the Bears are going to take their time. At the end of the day, I do think they want to stay in the state of Illinois, and we'll see what the floor does in March and see if they can actually get that next big hurdle to keep the Bears in the state and build that brand new stadium in Arlington Heights. So Bears fans, let me know down below in the comment section how you're feeling about all the stadium news. So in regard to some leaked details regarding Tyson Bagent, Bears backup quarterback, we talked about how there's multiple teams, or at least a couple of teams, interested in the Bears backup quarterback, and one of the teams happens to be the Arizona Cardinals. And now we have some new leaked details of a possible compensation of what the Bears could possibly land for Tyson Bagent. And this is from PHNX Cardinals. It's a podcast on YouTube that covers everything Arizona Cardinals. This is the offer that has been leaked regarding to them. It would likely be a fourth or fifth rounder in 2027 that could turn into a third round pick depending on how many games Tyson Bagent starts. First and foremost, I absolutely don't like the idea of the Bears getting a next year's fourth or fifth round pick that can turn into a third round pick. So that's number one. If the Arizona Cardinals are truly interested in Tyson Bagent, it needs to be a pick in 2026. And to be quite honest with you guys, the Bears are in no rush whatsoever to trade Tyson Bagent. You saw when they asked about Ben Johnson in his press conference yesterday at the NFL Combine, he was very like, hey, I don't want to trade Tyson Bagent. I understand it's a business. We do want to give him the opportunity to start, but he is very valuable to the Chicago Bears organization. And I'm one of those guys, one of those fans that understands the value of a backup quarterback. I understand that, the Bears signed him as an undrafted free agent back in 2023, and the fact that the Bears could possibly be getting some compensation for the NFL draft for an undrafted guy a couple of years ago would be a massive business win for the organization. It just shows that they actually can develop some quarterbacks right within this organization. But at the same time, Tyson Bagent is loved inside the locker room. He has shown that he can play on the football field as well. He now has a year experience under his belt with Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson loves him. Obviously, if Caleb Williams goes down and gets hurt, we understand that we can still win with this guy in Tyson Bagent. So to me, he is so valuable to this organization. And to me, a 4th or 5th round pick in 2027 would definitely not cut it for me if I was general manager Ryan Poles. So the Bears are in no rush whatsoever. I know there's a lot of people out there saying, hey, the Bears can, ride this thing out until free agency and let, free agency die down. And if the Arizona Cardinals or any team are really desperate for a quarterback, then yeah, maybe the Bears could garner more, maybe even a 2nd round pick. And I know that sounds really crazy for me to say on today's episode of Geek on the Mic, but it's the truth. The kid is 25 years old. He's under contract for 2 more years for $10 million. So it would be a really cheap investment for a team like the Arizona Cardinals. Once again, a year under his belt, or a couple of years under his belt with Caleb Williams, a year under his belt with Ben Johnson. We all know what Ben Johnson means to multiple quarterbacks. Jared Goff, Caleb Williams. Obviously, Tyson Bagent was thrown into the fire. I think he would be just fine as well due to Ben Johnson. So to me, this would be kind of dumb for the Chicago Bears, if this is true, to take this type of deal, a 4th or 5th round pick. It could turn into a 3rd, depending on how many games he starts, and it's not even until 2027. So it's going to be interesting to see if the Bears actually do end up trading Tyson Bagent. I know there's actually other rumors out there saying, hey, the Bears are listening to offers, but they're not just going to let go for him for nothing. They want, a couple of picks or maybe a player in return. That's how much they value a guy like Tyson Bagent. And I understand it may sound stupid for them to even demand that much for a backup quarterback. But once again, backup quarterbacks are valuable, and you have to understand that Tyson Bagent is going to be going to one of these organizations to be their starting quarterback. Once again, cheap contract. He's very young, experience now under his belt with Ben Johnson. So we know that he's ready to be a starter in the National Football League. Shoot, Ben Johnson even called him one of the 32 best quarterbacks in the National Football League, and he's a backup quarterback. So to me, if a team really wants Tyson Bagent, they're going to come with a massive offer, whether it's a 3rd round pick or maybe even a 2nd round pick. No one's asking for a 1st round pick. We understand that would be ridiculous, but if they really want to pry Bagent away from Chicago, organization absolutely loves him in the locker room, and the coaches love him. They understand what he means to this offense and Caleb Williams. They're going to come with some heat, and I think it's going to at least take a 2nd round pick for the Chicago Bears to move off of Tyson Bagent. So Bears fans, just wanted to bring that to your guys' attention really quick, that there is now leaked details in the whole trade saga with Tyson Bagent. Let me know down below in the comment section if you would take a 4th or 5th round pick in 2027 that could possibly turn into a 3rd round pick, depending on how many games he plays from the Arizona Cardinals. Let me know down below in the comment section. But as always, make sure you guys continue to hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms, and make sure you share this episode of Geek on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. But other than that, be back for an all new Bears podcast right here on Geek on the Mic. Thanks, guys, and as always, bear down.
You ain't bout it, you ain't Geek on the Mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't Geek on the Mic. You can go and subscribe, cause I be on it right. You ain't bout it,